Spoilers for The Dark Knight ahead, so if you haven't seen this, quite frankly, amazing film, then I would definitely recommend watching it before this video. The Dark Knight is probably one of my favorite superhero films of all time, and I'm pretty sure many others out there share this same sentiment. Now, there are many, and I mean many reasons why this film is so great, but I think that probably the best and most talked about part is this film's incarnation of the Joker, or I guess more appropriately, Heath Ledger's incarnation of the Joker. Now, the Joker is a really great character in his own right, but Heath Ledger just adds so much depth to him with his performance that it is unfathomable to even think about anybody else playing him in this film. But one of the most interesting things about this movie's Joker, other than the incredible performance behind him, is his two different stories he tells about how he got his face scars. So, for those who haven't seen the movie, which if you haven't, what the heck are you doing with your life? He tells two different people how he got the scars on his face, and for each of those people, he tells a different story. This is very interesting to me because we really don't know for sure why he tells two different stories, and which one is true if either of them are in this continuity. I think, actually, though, that there is a reason behind these two conflicting stories, and it all ties back into the Joker's seeming insanity, or rather, lack thereof. So, that may sound kind of weird considering how this Joker is played in this film as an absolute maniac, but let me explain myself. Now, I've heard a lot of people refer to the Joker as crazy or insane, which I think is a very inaccurate description of him. I think psychopath is a way better term, which, despite what many think, is not actually classify as a form of insanity, since it is not actually a mental illness, but a personality disorder. But anyways, you could technically actually argue this for most Jokers in the movies and the comics, but I want to talk about this one specifically because I believe it ties back into his two different Scar stories. So anyways, the Joker never actually presents any signs of insanity, at least not genuinely, in the way we usually use the term insanity or craziness. As we can see during scenes like the interrogation, the Joker is completely in his right mind and knows exactly what he wants. In fact, he's so much in his right mind to where it's even to the point where he's giving Batman tips on how to interrogate him.
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy. He can't feel the neck. See?
Heck, he even denies it himself in one scene when he's talking to the Mafia.
You're crazy. I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yet he shows a complete disregard for human life, order, and emotion, and he also cackles maniacally in, quite frankly, some very inappropriate situations. But these don't actually qualify him as insane. The first three alone, a disregard for human life, order, and emotion, can already be categorized under psychopath. And the last one, laughing maniacally in situations where you really shouldn't, I feel like actually supports my theory, so we'll get to that later. But what actually is this theory? Well, let's dive into it. So, my theory, which is a theory I've seen many other people put out there online, is that the Joker is putting on an act. He's not actually insane or crazy, even though he shows some signs of it. He's just putting on an act to scare his audience. As Alfred says during the beginning of the film, some people just want to see the world burn. And that is exactly what the Joker wants. He wants chaos to happen because he believes it is fair and right, which is the lesson he teaches Two-Face. And to cause chaos, he has to elicit fear in the citizens of Gotham. So he puts on an act, painting himself as an insane, crazy supervillain to cause fear, which in turn will cause the chaos he so deeply desires. Now, this is where his maniacal laughter comes into play. He laughs like this to spark fear in the hearts of his audience. For example, take the news videos that he sends to the news. When Joker wants to get Batman to reveal himself, he kidnaps one of the fake Batmans that have been going around town. He then records an extremely frightening video of him basically mentally torturing the guy and threatening him while also challenging Batman to come out into the open. He explains that he will kill people until the real Batman reveals himself, and all the while he's laughing maniacally. He laughs not because he's genuinely insane, but to scare the fake Batman and the people watching the news into chaos. But how does this tie in to his two conflicting Scar stories? Well, trust me, it will be way more obvious when I'm done. So, as I see it, the two conflicting stories is a result of the Joker tailoring his behavior to scare the people he's talking to. Now, here is where I'll admit that I have a weak point in my theory, because I can't exactly find how his first story relates to the mafia guy that he's talking to. So instead, I'm just going to focus on his second story, and if you guys can find anything about how his first story might support my theory, please share it with me in the comments. The Joker barges into Bruce Wayne's party looking for Harvey Dent, but he's not able to find him, so he goes for the next best thing to lure Harvey out: Rachel Dawes, his love interest. The Joker threatens Rachel with the second Scar story, telling him about his wife, who, in the story, was attacked by a couple of gambling sharks over a debt and had her face maimed. And apparently, the Joker gave himself his scars in order to match hers to make her feel better, but it only resulted in her being disgusted by him. Now, Rachel is soon to be married to Harvey Dent, so the Joker is telling a dramatic story about his wife to someone who is soon to be a wife. As you can see, each of his stories are tailored to get the correct response from the person he's talking to. So, there you go. That is my reasoning behind the Joker's conflicting stories in The Dark Knight. I may be completely wrong with this one, but I personally think that it is the best canon answer. And I guess this reasoning means that the likelihood is neither of these stories are true, just made up in the moment to elicit fear in his victims, so it looks like we may never know how Heath Ledger's Joker got his scars. Thanks for watching.